Welcome to this fascinating journey into animal behavior. Today, we are going to explore the incredible bridge between biological brains and computer algorithms, specifically focusing on intelligence and artificial intelligence. By the end of this video, you will understand how a crow solving a puzzle and a robot learning a trick rely on the exact same underlying principles. Let us dive in. Now that we know our destination, let us start with something familiar. Imagine you are playing a brand new video game without any tutorial. At first, you might just press random buttons, but soon you figure out that pressing a specific button makes your character jump and survive. You did not just memorize a rigid sequence of button presses, you actually understood the underlying rules of the game. This ability to adapt and figure things out on the fly is the very foundation of what we call intelligence. Building on that video game analogy, let us look at nature. When a crow figures out how to bend a straight piece of wire into a hook to fish meat out of a tube, it is doing the exact same thing you did in the game. It is not relying on a pre-programmed instinct. Instead, it is assessing a completely new situation, trying different approaches, and adapting its strategy to achieve a goal. This beautiful overlap between human learning and animal problem solving shows us that intelligence is a universal tool for survival. So, how do we formally define this remarkable ability? In the study of animal behavior, intelligence is defined as the cognitive ability to acquire, process, store, and act upon information from the environment to solve completely novel problems. It goes far beyond simple innate instincts or basic associative learning. True intelligence requires cognitive flexibility, insight, and the ability to form mental representations of the world. It is what allows an animal to survive when the environment throws something completely unexpected its way. Having defined biological intelligence, let us turn to the other side of the spectrum. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is a branch of computer science dedicated to creating systems capable of performing tasks that typically require this kind of biological intelligence. In our modern scientific era, these two fields are deeply intertwined. We use AI models, like artificial neural networks, to simulate and understand how animal brains process complex sensory information. Conversely, we borrow concepts directly from animal behavior, such as the swarm intelligence of bees, to design smarter machines. Why is it so important that we study this intersection? Understanding the mechanics of animal intelligence is absolutely crucial because it helps us comprehend the evolutionary timeline of the brain, including our own human cognition. It reveals how animals can rapidly adapt to changing environments, such as urban landscapes. This is a vital piece of information for modern wildlife conservation efforts. By understanding how animals think and learn, we can better protect them and ensure they thrive in a world that is constantly being altered by human activity. Beyond biology, this understanding has profound implications for technology. Modeling this biological intelligence has completely revolutionized the modern world we live in today. For example, the complex algorithms that power self-driving cars, robotics, and personalized recommendation systems are heavily inspired by how animals learn from rewards and punishments in the wild. If we did not study animal intelligence, our artificial intelligence systems would still be stuck relying on rigid, pre-programmed rules instead of the flexible, adaptive learning that makes modern AI so incredibly powerful. To truly connect animal intelligence with artificial intelligence, we must translate behavior into mathematics. One of the most fundamental ways both animals and AI learn to make intelligent decisions is through trial and error, guided by rewards. In psychology, this is rooted in operant conditioning, where behaviors are shaped by consequences. In computer science, this exact same concept is known as reinforcement learning. This shared framework is the core engine of the learning process, allowing both a biological brain and a silicon chip to adapt to their surroundings. This brings us to the mathematical heart of the matter. The core engine of this learning process can be described by a mathematical update rule, often called the delta rule. The formula is Vt plus 1 equals Vt plus alpha times the quantity R minus Vt. Let us break this down. Vt plus 1 is the new updated knowledge state. Vt is the current knowledge or expectation. Alpha is the learning rate, determining how quickly the system adapts. R is the actual reward received, like food or a score. Finally, R minus Vt is the prediction error, representing the surprise between what was expected and what actually happened. If the learning rate increases, the system updates rapidly, but may overreact. Before we move on, let us see this formula in action with a concrete example. Imagine we are training an AI-powered robotic dog to sit on command. Initially, it has no idea what the command means, so its starting knowledge, Vt, is 0. We set the learning rate, alpha, to 0.5. When it accidentally sits, we give it a reward, R, of 10 points. We plug these values into our formula. The prediction error is 10 minus 0, which is 10. This means the robot was completely surprised by the reward. We multiply this surprise by the learning rate of 0.5, giving us 5. The new knowledge state is 5. The robot has formed a positive association. Now that we have seen how learning happens, we must ask, what happens when the rules change? True intelligence is not just about learning, it is also about behavioral flexibility. This means adapting when the environment changes and previous actions no longer yield rewards. In biology, the process of unlearning a behavior that no longer works is known as extinction. An intelligent system, whether animal or machine, must be able to downgrade its expectations and stop performing useless actions. Let us see how our mathematical model handles this exact scenario. Let us apply our formula to this process of unlearning. Suppose our robotic dog has a current knowledge value, Vt, of 5. Suddenly, we stop giving rewards, so the new reward, R, is 0. The learning rate stays at 0.5. Plugging these into the equation, we calculate the prediction error. 0 minus 5 equals negative 5. This negative number mathematically represents disappointment. The outcome was worse than expected. We multiply this negative surprise by 0.5, resulting in negative 2.5. We add this to the initial 5, and our new knowledge state drops to 2.5. The association has weakened, perfectly capturing cognitive flexibility. To visualize everything we have discussed, let us look at this side-by-side comparison. On the left, we see a biological system, a mouse navigating a physical maze to find cheese. Above it, we see its biological neural network, updating its connections based on the reward. On the right, we have the artificial counterpart, a robot navigating a digital grid to reach a programmed reward score, guided by a reinforcement learning algorithm inside a computer chip. Both systems, despite their vastly different hardware, are united by the central concept of reward-based learning and prediction error. This diagram beautifully illustrates the bridge between ethology and computer science. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us summarize the most important ideas. First, intelligence in animal behavior is fundamentally about flexible problem solving and adapting to the unknown, not just rigid memorization. Second, by translating these biological mechanisms into mathematical models, like the reinforcement learning formula, we successfully bridge the gap between animal cognition and computer science. Finally, studying how a simple animal learns to survive provides the foundational blueprint for the future of artificial intelligence. You now understand how nature inspires the machines of tomorrow. Great job!